done it already today.
Bronna.
Good evening and welcome to the May 3rd, 2017 meeting of the Contra Costa Transportation Authority Planning Committee meeting. Do you take roll or we just say everybody's here? Everybody's here. Yes, thank you. I didn't see it on here. All righty. Oh, and I like it. We have a consent calendar, items C1 through 35.
Public comment.
I know. Well, actually, according to this, public comment isn't on here, but I will call for that. Is there anyone in the public who wishes to?
She's looking at that.
You know what I'm looking at, gentlemen
And lady.
and ladies? I'm so sorry. I am looking at the Board of Supervisors agenda from yesterday. That doesn't, and I'm not even the chair. All righty, we convene the meeting. Public comment. Is there anyone here who wishes to address this commission on any item that is not on tonight's agenda? Great. Moving forward. Thank you. We're approving the minutes by Hudson first and Haskew second.
This time, Janet.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That was a unanimous vote. We'll move on to the consent calendar. We have 3 items. Anything anybody wanted to discuss? I guess not. Moved by Romick, seconded by Abelson. Thank you so much. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. That passed unanimously. Good. We're going on to item 4.0, which is the approval of the 1718 Transportation Demand Management Program, which will be presented by Mr. Engel, and this is an action item.
Yes, thank you. Usually I would put these on consent, but I just wanted to put them on discussion to remind you all of the changes that happened last year in which CCTA took over the oversight of the Central and East County portions of the TDM programs. The City of Santa Ramon is still doing TDM for the SWAT subregion, and WCTAC is still doing it for West County. So this is the funding to support that program, and that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Engel. Anybody have any questions of Mr. Engel?
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Haskew, seconded by Hudson. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Aye, no opposed. Motion carries 5-0. On to item number 5. Boy, we may, wow.
I'm trying to make your day better.
No, I know, and you are. Thank you so much. Approval of the fiscal year 1718 Measure J allocation. And again, this is an action item presented by Mr. Engel.
Yes, again, the same reason as the last item. I just wanted to bring to your attention that rather than Pleasant Hill doing this as has been done in the past, now CCTA has taken over oversight, and it's going through our program management firm, Stantec, that continues with this program.
Great, thank you.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Haskew, seconded by Romick. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. No opposed. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Engel, for doing that. I think in the future we can put those on consent, but I appreciate you wanting to highlight them for us this first go around. Item 6 is approval of the draft 2017 priority development area, another action item by Mr. Beck.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. The purpose of the PDA investment and growth strategy is to ensure that the congestion management agencies, such as the authority, have a priority setting process for One Bay Area grant funding that comes from MTC and then is allocated by the CMAs to various agencies to do projects that support the regional transportation plan. We've adopted one back in 2013. We updated in 2015. We're updating it again as required as this year in 2017. This update does a couple of different things. First thing it does is to add in the new criteria and process for OBAG 2 that the authority approved months ago. Which is part of the required components of the PDA strategy. We also updated information about the new regional housing needs allocation for the different jurisdictions within the county. And the biggest update is the update to what we call the PDA portfolio, which goes through for each of the priority development areas in Contra Costa, what the issues they're facing, the limitations and opportunities that there are within each of those. It was a lot of work for our consultants to put it all together, but they did base a lot of it on work that they had done previously for MTC for those, some of a subset of the PDAs within Contra Costa. There are probably a few technical corrections that we might make, and I know that El Cerrito has pointed out a couple of changes that they would like us to make for the PDAs in El Cerrito. And I know the consultant found some corrections we would like to make. So if you approve it tonight, we would hope that you would approve it with the ability to make some of those technical corrections in the PDA.
Before it goes to the, will it be on the consent calendar when it goes to the full authority?
That's what we were thinking of.
Okay.
Yes.
Does anyone have any questions of Mr. Beck? Can I have a motion to approve with the flexibility to make any minor editorial changes before it goes to the authority?
I'd like to make a comment afterwards.
Okay, do I have a second? Okay, moved by Hudson, seconded by Romick. Dave, go ahead. Turn your mic on, dear.
Table 3, if people get a chance, because 2 of the 3 of us are here that I'm talking about, I'm really getting concerned about the very low income. It's on subject only because there's a table here, but Luella, you, I, and Concord had better find a way to come up with some more very low. We're the high ones in that bunch, and the more and more I read legislation, the more and more I get worried about it. And I don't know how you're doing, but it's an absolute battle for us, and I can only imagine Karen's got her own headaches trying to pull it off, but the 3 of us, major portion of what we're going to need when we get into the next RENA cycle. That's all.
All right, any further discussion? I will call. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries. And that was a 5-0 vote also. Then we will move on to item number 7, which is approval to release the draft 2017 CT Countywide Transportation Plan and draft EIR. And this is Mr. Engelman for action. And we get a PowerPoint. Woohoo!
Good evening, Madam Chair, and good evening, Commissioners. Martin Engelman, Deputy Executive Director for Planning at CCTA, and I'm delighted to be here tonight to present to you the draft 2017 Countywide Plan update. As you all know, we've been working on this for a few years, and in your packet, you'll find an outline of what's in the plan, the schedule for adopting the plan, and also a proposed public outreach scope of work. And over the past few days, staff has been working on this public outreach plan and developing it in consultation with our new consultant who's on board, PlaceWorks. And I would like to introduce David Early, who's in the audience. David Early is principal at PlaceWorks, and he'll be helping us with the public outreach for the CTP. But anyway, through those discussions, we have some revisions, and they're shown in tracks changes.
I'm going to
on
interrupt
this.
you, Martin, just because at our table, it says that it's handout item 8, but we're on item 7. So I just want to make sure that what's at I was just checking the,
Yeah, we should correct that. That's the.
it's okay, but
the
you want
wrong
us to
item.
refer to what's at our dais,
This
correct?
This is for, on the dais is
Okay.
the item, it should be item 7. This is a handout for item 7. And in the track, my apologies for that.
That's all right. I just want to make sure that we're all referring to the same document.
Okay, so there are some minor changes to the outreach effort there that you can read in your packet, but they basically reflect what we plan to do given the budget we have to work with. So we're hoping to release the draft countywide plan on May 24th, this month. That will be after the authority meeting. So I'll give you a PowerPoint overview of the plan. First of all, why we have to update the countywide plan. It's actually required under Measure C that we develop, adopt, and periodically update the countywide plan. The plan creates a blueprint for the future. It incorporates local plans and regional forecasts. And we don't do this in a vacuum. The CTP is developed through significant public outreach process and also through working with all of you at the regional committee level and at the city level, working on your action plans for routes of regional significance. And the plan actually takes all of those sub-regional plans and links them together, puts them into our computer model, and evaluates the future.
Martin,
And
I've
for
got a
this,
question.
We're looking at 2040 for the future this time around.
We originally did this like 2 or so years ago, and then we had to take a step back and move forward. So, and you're going to present this to the full authority on the 17th,
Yes.
correct? Can you just highlight the differences?
Sure.
Or is that what that already is?
Sure.
So that we don't have to hear it twice.
So I will go through the timeline of what we did in 2012 and 2013, what happened in 2014 when we released the plan, and then the significant community outreach effort that we undertook and the feedback we got and how that fed into continued development of the plan and actually going to the ballot for Measure X. Talk about what's happened just in the past few years. You've all watched as traffic has gone up and congestion's gotten worse. BART ridership's increased. And just in Contra Costa alone, how congestion is increasing. You see a little dip there from the recession, but really in the past couple of years it's been going up. We're working with the same forecast we had the last time around, 23% increase in households, 35% increase in employment. We've updated the fund estimate. It's now, we've gone from $2014 to $2017, and we have about $3.67 billion committed. So these are different numbers than last time. And these are the funds that are committed in the 2013 RTP. We have a 20-year forecast that assumes new funding in the amount of about $6.5 billion. So combined total of all of the funds together, the plan will set forth investments for $10 billion in projects. This map may look familiar to you. It's the projects in the green are things we completed or are fully funded, and in the chartreuse are new projects that we would like to take on. We don't have enough money for all of them, and the plan prioritizes the ones that we can fund. Some of the major projects, regional express lanes on I-680, the 684 interchange, BRT on San Pablo. So here's the big change. You want the really big change? We've gone from 3 volumes to 2 volumes.
Yay.
We've reduced the size of Volume 1 by 162 pages.
And how did that happen? We took out a bunch of projects?
And no, we didn't take out a bunch of projects. That's not how it happened. No, we just tried to streamline the document, and we took out a lot of the fluff, I'll be honest with you, and a lot of the background information. We are also relying more on what are called supplemental reports. So in the past, Volume 2 included all of the action plans. We're actually just going to put those up on the web and have people look at it. We are doing a full environmental impact report this time around. Last time we did a supplemental EIR. And so that's another report that'll be out there for everyone to review.
Oh, goody. I know how much we're all looking forward to another.
We refocus our implementation plan to focus on greenhouse gas reduction to meet the governor's goals. We focus more on innovation leadership and getting to more autonomous vehicles in the future, and having the highway talk to the vehicles and the vehicles being able to receive information. And we talk more about the Smart City, City 5.0, where we would partner with local jurisdictions to get them to implement the new technologies, and that their transportation infrastructure could communicate with the vehicles, and we'd have just a lot smoother running system. And this goes down, they're looking now at really every individual being linked into the system so we know where the pedestrians are and the vehicle knows where the pedestrian is. So that's basically it. The overall schedule is release the draft on the 24th, release the draft EIR shortly thereafter on June 12th. We go through a 45-day review period for the EIR that closes on July 28th. And then in September, we would look for the board to adopt the 2017 CTP update. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
All right, moved by Hudson, seconded by Haskew. There's been a lot of work put into this, even though we've culled out. Does anyone in the audience or any of us have any questions of Martin? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. 5-0. Thank you very much. Lots of work. Look forward to that.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
can we drag out the last one for a little bit? We told the new guy that would be
I know.
622.
I'm coming up. This is sort of scary. The expectation will be that the authority runs this well. I know Mr. Iwasaki is going to introduce him later. At least I'm going to call upon him to introduce him. Number 8. Comments on the draft plan Bay Area 2040. Martin, this is yours also for action. But he needs to move to another chair. No PowerPoint.
No PowerPoint. So, Madam Chair, we thought long and hard about this, and we've taken a careful look at the 2017 draft RTP. We're quite satisfied with the way the project list turned out. We don't think there's any really important project missing that we wanted to see in the RTP. We've worked with the MTC staff. They've been very cooperative. And at this point, the only critique we could throw at this proposed RTP, the draft RTP, is their strategy for addressing the housing crisis. And their strategy for addressing the housing crisis is to provide a projection that staff believes is really unrealistic. They're talking about adding 825,000 new homes in the next 25 years. And that requires the Bay region to go to virtually 30,000 units per year housing growth, which we have not seen since the previous century.
DEFCON 5.
Yeah. And the proposal in the RTP is that if they project all these houses and if all those houses are built, then everybody that has a job in the Bay Area will live in the Bay Area, and no new people will come in over I-580. And to be honest, the only way you could keep new people from buying houses out in the valley and commuting into Bay Region would be to put a toll or a gate or something on I-580 and 17 as well, because they will buy houses out there. They're cheaper, and they'll be visiting the houses on the Sunday, as they always do, and seeing no traffic and thinking this is great.
We missed you at regional planning today.
I
You
know.
had heard the housing advocates talk about how we're going to meet all these requirements.
Exactly. So we have not prepared a letter for your review tonight. I'd really like to just get your feedback. At this point, we can say we like the draft and it's fine, or we can say we like the draft and it's fine, but we just have some concerns about this approach towards addressing the housing issue. Because just to point out, the last time they did this in 2013, they had the same horizon year of 2040. And they said from 2010 to 2040, the Bay Area will build 660,000 homes. And that was a lot. And now they're saying over the same time period, between 2010 and 2040, the Bay Area is going to build 824,000 homes. And they've increased that so that the in-commute from outside the Bay Area doesn't increase. And I mean, I'm having trouble, believing in that strategy. And so the question to you is, do you want to comment to the regional body that you have concerns about that. That would be the letter, and it would go to the authority. Otherwise, I think at this point, we just say we're pleased with the process and the projects, and we look forward to your adoption of the final.
I have some comments, but of course, Mr. Hudson does too.
The answer is no. Just remember, One Bay Area is focusing on these 3 cities that are going to supposedly be carrying the weight. We don't need to tick them off on. See, we're pretty much we're actually fairly balanced in Contra Costa. The problems are coming from Santa Clara. Alameda's a little behind, and if they're ever going to approach these number of housing, our little friends to the north are going to be seeing more sprawl than you've ever imagined. Think about Solano's got 3 cities at 100,000. They may be at 200,000 by the time they're through, and they've got a gateway too. But let's pick our battles on this one. If they tremendously intelligently say it's 825, Martin, I'm sure it's probably between 824 and 826.
Kevin?
Well, I kind of disagree. I would say, yeah, let's go ahead and approve the letter, but at least register our concerns. I think it's important that we at least register our concerns, but nothing further than that.
And I agree with Kevin, only to preserve, I'm not a lawyer, but it seems like if we say it's all okay and hunky-dory fine, the housing advocates will come to us and have an expectation that you said that was okay, build. And so I think we need to put that caveat in there of concern. Very general, very broad, but so that we are protected and no one can come and say, that you thought, yeah. We'll leave it to your fine editorial expertise to draft that letter that will come before the full authority. Is that where, that's how it would be? So let's have a motion regarding that, please. Second. I can't move, I'm the chair. First. Romick first, Romick moves, and Hudson seconds. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Okay. Well, 8:23, just want you to notice, I run a fine meeting.
We have nothing to do with it.
No,
We just. Actually, you wanted 623, not 823.
that's right. But I do want to give Mr. Iwasaki an opportunity under other business to introduce a new staff person.
Thank you, Chair. Mitchoff. So I wanted to introduce Tim Hale. Tim resides.
Had dinner with him.
Yeah, you had dinner with him. Currently in Southern California. He's moving here to somewhere in Contra Costa County, probably in very close to the office. He was, when we advertised the position, I think we had over 30 applicants from all over the United States. We centered the final 7 around the experience dealing with state issues in California specifically. And so he was the final candidate. Offered him the job, he accepted, and so he's moving. Jen, his wife, and their daughter Aubrey and Tim are going to move up, and they're going to look for a house in this area. And so I think he's part of the future of CCTA. You want to say something, Tim?
I just want to say I'm really excited to be part of the team, and really appreciate the opportunity, and really looking forward to working with you and the team to continue the success of CCTA.
Cal Poly graduate, but the other one.
That's
down
okay.
south. Not
Is that like Cal and Stanford
Yeah.
back and forth among you engineers?
Pomona, yeah.
Okay. Did you want to say something?
Yes. From time to time at our regular meeting, you will see a former chair of ABAG come in with his Dodger pin. Don't be foolish enough to think that's okay.
Is that is that Mark? Green. Mr. Green, okay. Welcome, and I think you're making a wise decision to take your time to find a home because we have a great housing stock here. Of course, you could move into this area here, and Luella and I would be your representative. Don't want to push you in that regard, but we're fine public servants. And anyway, but there's a lot here, and we're really pleased that you've chosen to come here. And your reputation precedes you. We're all talking about it, and we're so excited to have you here. So welcome. And I know that you're joining a fine staff, and they're very excited about you joining them. So, did you want to say anything about SB1, or you don't have to? I just Yay!
Governor signed SB 1. He took a while for him to sign it, but finally he signed it. It's enacted. And so now I know that Caltrans their chief financial officer, Norm Ortega, is busily trying to work out the provisions of that law. Because when you pass a law, then you read the language, and Lead's counsel gets involved, and then it's the nuances of actually deploying what is written versus what you think is the law. And so she's busy getting that enacted. November 1st, they start collecting that. We talk about a $52 billion program. It's actually indexed, if you think about it. So it's going to be more than $52 billion over 10 years, and it's in perpetuity. So they've only carved out and talked about the first 10 years. So there's a future funding source that will help us maintain what we have, and we can use some of those other dollars to help make our system more efficient and safer.
And what I've heard, and I think my colleagues have, is that Assemblymember Grayson was able to get the 684, I don't know, it's probably not in the legislation, but an agreement to get money for us to work on that project.
Yeah, so Phase 3, as you remember, Grayson Creek was deemed unfit to widen. We went to Caltrans and said, you need to pay for our bridge widening using SHOP money. And they said they were broke, and I said, you're going to pay for it eventually anyway. And so we stopped working on that project. In the meantime, the pavement starts cracking up on State Route 4, and they say, Randy, you need to, or CCTA, you need to go in and fix the pavement. I said, that's not our job. We have money available. If you would have, and I think at the time it was about 37 million shortfall. We didn't take into account all the utilities now that have to come out of that bridge, be relocated, rebuild the bridge, raise it up, and then put the utilities back in. So the estimate that we came up with that night, or prior to that night of the vote, was 60 million.
Wow.
And so we have a letter from the secretary that says we have a commitment to fully fund 684 Phase 3. So 60 million, or 58 million is the actual number that we wrote on a piece of paper. So we're going to fill in that gap. So that's another 58 million that we brought into Contra Costa County to help complete our capital improvement program.
So does that work like you and your staff do here, where the state, once those tax dollars start rolling in, they'll bond it so that the money's available sooner rather than later, or do we have to wait in line?
Historically, the state has not bonded against future state tax. What they've done on a pilot basis a few years ago, actually probably 12, 13 years ago now, is they bonded against future federal funding called the Garvey program. But historically, they're a pay-as-you-go. We're one of the few agencies in the highway business that actually bonds against future revenue, uses that for projects like the Caldecott Tunnel that lasts over 100 years. So you're paying debt service on a project that's going to last well beyond when it's kind of like when you buy your house.
And at a less price, you're paying.
Exactly. You're accelerating the delivery of the project. You're getting the benefit of the project earlier, and then it lasts longer than the debt service period. And so it's much like your house. So if you take care of your house, you pay principal and interest over a 30-year mortgage. The house is there for 60 years. You pass it down to your kids. You have all the memories in that house and all those good things.
So with your crystal ball, do you think we'll get that money sooner rather than later?
We're moving forward to advertise the project sometime early next year. When that day comes, we're going to ask the California Transportation Commission for an allocation of $58 million.
Okay, cool. But we'll have to compete with other people asking for, oh, okay, cool.
No, I don't think so. Well, we're going to make the funds
That's why
request.
I asked-
Caltrans will make the funds request, and we have to make the call to the people that make commitments.
Okay, great. Any other board members' comments? Okay, I'm sorry, it's 6:29. It's hot outside. Go home into your air conditioning and